Good morning, friends. Thank you, everyone who's sharing these and getting the word out. I ask you today to push this out further than ever before. I'm a little later than usual getting on because I had to press through to hope. We've said it over and over again. We cannot pray with authority. We cannot speak the heart of God with authority unless we have come to the place where we see what he sees, see what he wants to see accomplished, because then we will see with the eyes of hope. But I'm going to be real. As I've looked into the darkness of the things that Russia is doing in Ukraine and the other things that are happening in the earth, it has taken more work than normal, but it's a good work. And so I'm going to actually skip over a lot of the details that I usually go into. If you're looking for why is this war happening, a lot of the details, please look at the other updates. I want to be short today because I need this to go to the nations. I need this to go out further than ever before, because this war has to stop. And I believe God has downloaded some strategies, prayer strategies for us to begin to see his works in the earth. What I want to say right now is, first of all, we can celebrate what God's done. Again, every single turn, the second greatest military in the world has been thwarted unimaginably. If you listen to all the intel, they still don't understand. They can't make any sense out of Russian military strategy. It violates every kind of doctrine of war. It doesn't make any sense. They are running around confused. They're not coordinated. It's not making any sense. The fleet in the Black Sea is completely wasted. It has achieved nothing of value. The Air Force, the Russian Air Force, has failed to achieve any sort of air superiority. And on the ground, again, the lack of coordination makes no sense at all. But what we've been praying for is that the enemy would bite itself, that it would turn on itself, and we're seeing that. As I've mentioned before, Putin is turning on the FSB. The core of his support is the FSB. That's how he came to power, and the oligarchs are increasingly the pressure. The EU has put an increased ban, including a travel ban on Abramovich. That's huge. He is the most loyal oligarch to Putin. And so there's cracks. One of the head of the National Guard, which includes the militia and the riot police, he's actually started to come out and say things that are contrary to the narrative. When you read what politicians in Russia say, you have to read between the lines. But when somebody breaks ranks with the official narrative is everything is going as planned. He's saying no, it's going slower than planned. And that means that people are starting to try to figure out their parachutes. They're trying to separate themselves from what they see as a dangerous a vacuum. You know, when like the Titanic went down, it creates a vacuum. It pulls down everything else with it. That's what everybody's starting to do. They're starting to distance themselves from Putin because they're realizing the ship is going down. It's a matter of time. That's exciting. That's exciting. And again, I can't say it enough, the massive loss of life. They were talking about, two huge rockets attacks that hit huge apartment buildings, and only 2 people died. Again, 2 people is more than it should happen, but the absolute shockingly small loss of life, considering the amount of devastation that Russia is inflicting, is incredible. Every time they're trying to move forward, they're moving forward at very great cost. But here's where I want to shift to prayer focus. Okay, do you see that God is moving? Yes. One of the huge blessings that I want to celebrate is the fact that 3 of the leaders of Europe have broken ranks with Europe. Europe is trying to keep themselves distanced from the conflict. They're afraid of it spilling over, aka Russia going to war with Europe. And the president of Poland, Duda, the president of Czech, Pahor, I believe it is, and the president of Slovenia, Pahud. I might get those confused. Those 3 guys have decided to fly into Kyiv today. This is unbelievable. They're sick and tired of waiting on the rest of Europe and on America to rise up and put a stop to this. Poland wanted to give MiGs to the Ukrainian Air Force to be able to empower them to fight back, because right now Russia's been bombing with impunity, and they're sick and tired of waiting, so they're going to fly in at great risk to their lives. Pray for them. Pray that they would be protected. Pray that they would be able to make a violent, obvious stand for Ukraine and for Kyiv today. Pray that they would shame the rest of Europe and America into acting to begin to close the airspace. Listen, right now we have Tu-95 MSs that are being able to bomb with impunity all over Ukraine. Listen, let me tell you, even when they don't bomb, they terrify and traumatize children. There were air raid sirens all across Ukraine last night. Children were being rushed. We have relatives. We have a 6-year-old child who's being rushed out of his bed, 2 o'clock in the morning in Lvov, dragged to a bomb shelter, not knowing if he's going to live. Listen, that's just the threat of terror. That's not what's actually happening. And then the bombs begin to fall. This is not okay. This is not okay. And that's before we get to Mariupol. Listen, pray that Poland would, one of the strategies is in World War II, America had neutrality, and Winston Churchill was begging for airplanes, and Roosevelt could not give him them. So you know what they did? They couldn't give them directly. What they did is they brought the American airplanes to the Canadian border, and then the British dragged the planes across the border by horse and by truck to bring them and then fly them back. Listen, they can do the same thing. Poland can give those MiGs to the Ukrainian airplanes, but it's got to go further. The airspace has to be closed down. Right now, you don't understand where Russia controls. They're beginning to do mass arrests. They are attempting to crush. They are attempting to create a Soviet state all over again of a gulags of domination and control. This is not okay. Mariupol, they have cinched it. They are bombing it out of existence. A friend of ours, as we talked about, Vladimir Ivanov in Dnipro, he was sharing with us his friend in Mariupol, and they're saying, listen, it's hell here. They are killing people. They are slaughtering. They are bombing already. 2,000 plus people have died in Mariupol. It's a city of 430,000. And yes, praise God, 160 vehicles got out of Mariupol. Listen, 160 vehicles, man, that's less than 1,000 people. There's 430,000. This has to stop now. And what is driving me bonkers is that the United States has determined that they can wait this out. I listened to a lieutenant general. He said, listen, Russia will run out of resources in 10 days. How many children must die in the next 10 days for the American people, the European people to rise up? But it's bigger than that. Everybody's been saying China, they had a 7-hour meeting with China yesterday to try to get them not to provide supplies because they're begging for MREs, for food, for supplies, military supplies, so that Russia can continue to fight. Listen, China made their bed with Russia 8 years ago, in 2014, when they began to establish a financial cooperation and military cooperation. They are not going anywhere. They are in bed with Russia. Listen, we cannot threaten them out of that. They're going to back Russia. What we have to pray is that God would divide the two, right? In the natural, God would divide the two. But listen, India has backed Russia. They are looking to buy Russian oil cheap via going around sanctions, buying via rubles. Listen, this is not okay. The UAE has also been backing Russia, and they have been refusing to provide oil and gas supplies to Europe to limit their dependence on Russia. Okay, so here's the prayer strategy. This is where I'm getting. Listen, the enemy has overplayed his hand. All across the world, dictatorships are rising up together. Xi Jinping in China, Putin in Russia, Bin Zayed in the UAE, Modi in India. These are autocratic dictators who have come to power, who are dominating and controlling their people. Listen, I've said it before, it is not enough simply for when the enemy comes in for the hostility to end, and it's not even enough to get back what was taken. We have to overtake. Remember 1 Samuel 30, overtake overcome, and get back all. They got back not just their stuff, but everybody else's stuff. This is the reality. This is our prayer strategy, that every single one of those dictatorships would fall, that freedom would come to all those areas, that each of those countries, Russia, China, India, and the UAE, would be liberated from autocracy, from domination control, that the gospel would be free to go there, that the Europe and America would be shamed into rising up. They would recognize, instead of waiting to get their hands dirty, letting children die, they would rise up and say no more, that they would block the airspace. They would stand with Ukraine. Again, praise God for the presidents of Poland, Czech, and Slovenia, who are courageously going into Ukraine. Pray right now. Pray that there would be a massive outcry, that it would reveal the cowardice of Europe. Listen, everybody's like, well, we don't know if he's going to go nuclear. Listen. He is increasingly isolated. The generals are trying to figure out, they are terrified of him. This is a Stalin-level event where he is afraid of his entire circle. Listen, we need to pray that they turn on him, but we also need to pray that Europe and America actually is brave enough to stand up and refuse to play. We are in this place because starting in 2008, when he invaded Georgia and he took Abkhazia, it was the exact same thing as Sudetenland. When Hitler said, I'm just simply liberating German-speaking people from Austria who want to be part of Germany. That's exactly the narrative. And by doing so, Hitler took all the defenses of Austria in that process. That's what happened with Abkhazia. Now there's the same valley that runs from Abkhazia straight to Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, and Georgia's been held at hostage since 2008. And we said, and Russia said, I'm not going to take any more. Then what did he do? He went into Crimea and he said, I'm not taking any more. I'm taking Donbass. I'm not taking any more, right? Listen, you don't negotiate with a terrorist. You don't. You do not. You don't listen to him. It's enough is enough is enough. You face off against him. And so what I'm praying, I'm asking you to stand with me today. I'm asking you to pray that this would go out, not just as far as this has been going, to tens of thousands. Let it go to hundreds of thousands, but more than that, this update would infiltrate the halls of power, that this would reach decision makers. It ends today. How many children must die that for the cowardice of Europe and America to be revealed? This is not okay. Listen, this is not okay. This is not about Russia's self-interest. This is about Putin. And so pray right now for Putin to be removed. Pray for truth to be restored. And again, what I've been praying for Russia, I'm going to pray for India and China and the UAE as well, is that there would be a massive explosion of truth in each of these countries. A massive. We talked about Lubyanka, the KGB headquarters falling, and that all the same thing. All four of these countries have a huge history of lies and propaganda that have to fall, so that the people would be free to rise up and to receive the gospel, to be set free from the bondage of fear and death, and there would be a new day. So please pray with me for that. Please help to get this word out. Please share. Again, I'm sorry, I normally give you tons and tons of detail. You can look at our other updates. Also, as always, if you want these prayer points, you can find them at ariselife.org/Ukraine. We have a team of people. If one of our team could put that up. Also, if you need prayer for anything, just simply put need prayer, and one of our team will pray for you. Also, if you're looking to give, we have friends on the ground who are actually going into Kharkov, into the bombs, bringing supplies where there is no food, there's no supplies, helping those who are caring for the weak, and bringing refugees out. We've been able to raise among our fellow churches here $25,000 that's going to them today. Pray for, just continue to pray for those who are on the ground. Pray for unity. We love you guys. Thank you so much. I can't say it enough. Please send this out. Get this out, because this war needs to end now, but the enemy needs to pay a price, and there needs to be a total overturn and truth to go out into these four nations. All right. We love you guys. Have an amazing day.